In our first two videos, we established what relative age effect is and backed it up with 10 years of data showing just how dramatically birth month shapes who makes it in hockey. Now, let's talk about what we can actually do about this. In this video, I'm going to cover 3 solutions the research community has proposed. I'm going to give you my honest assessments of each, and then share 2 original proposals of my own before closing out with what I believe is the single most powerful solution available to any family watching this video right now. Solution number 1 is called biobanding, and biobanding is simply grouping athletes by physical maturity rather than by age. A formula using parental heights and the child's skeletal age predicts eventual adult height, and kids are grouped accordingly. So the upside here, it levels the physical playing field. Okay. It forces physically mature players who in the past relied on just their physical advantage to now rely on skill, on their technical ability, on their tactical ability. So all of that builds better hockey players. So that's an advantage. But the downside, it's a logistical nightmare. It requiring medical expertise and annual assessments for every athlete every year, plus 0 consideration for social emotional development. You're breaking up friendships with no regard for what that costs. So biobanding is an interesting concept, but I don't know if it's a realistic solution. Solution number 2 is rotating cutoff dates. This model shifts the eligibility deadline by 3 months each season. January 1st, April 1st, July 1st, October 1st, all on a 4-year rotation. Every birth quarter eventually getting a turn as the oldest in the cohort. And every birth quarter also getting an opportunity as the youngest in the cohort. So the upside, every player gets all the experiences, oldest, in the middle, and youngest. And it breaks up the dominant multi-year teams we see far too often, where we see the same kids making the same team year after year after year from minor peewee to major midget. The downside, deeply disruptive to friendships and the whole social fabric of sport, plus another organizational nightmare to implement and maintain. So this solution, great in theory, nearly impossible in practice. Now, I've got a lot of time for solution number 3, delayed selectivity and equal ice time. This is a system much more common in Europe. No rep or travel teams until the age of 13 or 14. Equal ice time and development opportunity for everyone through the most physically volatile years. The upside, it would significantly reduce the early dropout rate that we've seen in sports. It gives the biological gap time to narrow before any child is cut. But the downside, specifically here in North America, where 9-year-olds are already being evaluated on their ability to make the NHL one day, the pushback from the competitive parents and the competitive coaches would be massive and almost impossible to enforce. Coaches and parents will always find a workaround to give their kids extra advantages to get them ahead in hockey. So this might be the best of the 3, but it's a real hard sell here in North America because it's gone against everything we've always done. I have a couple suggestions. Firstly, mandated coach and scout education. Hockey Canada and USA Hockey run the coaching certification programs that every youth coach goes through. So my proposal is simple. Build a dedicated relative age effect module into those programs and make it mandatory. Because if we can change the lens a coach uses to evaluate a 12-year-old, if we can get him to ask, is this kid actually less talented or is he just 4 months younger? Then we've moved the needle without touching a single structure. Same applies to scouting. A scout who understands relative age effect looks past the size, looks past the awkward stride and asks, what will this athlete look like in 3 years when the biological gap is closed? So again, no structural overhaul required. Just the will of 2 organizations to act on the evidence before them. And that's a solvable problem. My second solution, I'd love to flip the summer hockey calendar. Summer hockey operates inside the winter system, and that gives it an incredible opportunity to be what the winter system isn't. Summer hockey organizations collectively should adopt a July 1st to June 30th age group calendar, the inverse of the January 1st winter standard. And here would be the effect. The January to June born players who dominate all winter move up a bracket in the summer and become the youngest in an older group. So for the first time in their hockey experience, they face competition that matches or exceeds their own. And that challenge is absolutely essential for their long-term growth. And for the July 1st to December 31st born player, the kid who spent all winter as the smallest, the youngest, the one who never got on the power play, summer hockey becomes a completely different hockey experience. Suddenly he's one of the oldest. He gets to see what he's actually capable of when the age bias is removed. And that can be transformational. The challenge is that summer hockey is fragmented. There are no national governing bodies, and this needs leadership. One or two of the bigger organizations willing to go first. The mechanism is simple. The cost is low. The impact, well, it could be enormous. Suggestion number 3, and perhaps the most practical suggestion. A good old self-awareness and mental performance training. Every solution I've described depends on organizations changing. This one doesn't. This one depends on you. Until the system decides they want to catch up, and it may never fully happen, then parents need to serve as their child's first mental performance coach. Start with honesty. Help your child understand that the game isn't quite fair right now. The reason kids on their own team are bigger and faster and stronger might have nothing to do with talent. It might simply be that the child was born in January and your child was born in November. So name it and normalize it and deal with it. Then redirect the focus. Effort, work ethic, discipline, passion, being a good teammate, showing up each and every day. Those become the things we celebrate. Not goals, not wins, not making the team. When outcomes are de-emphasized and the process is rewarded, your child will stop measuring himself against a rigged standard and start building something that will outlast any physical gap. And here's what over 20 years of college coaching has taught me. When the biological advantage disappears, usually around 14, 15, 16 years of age, the player who is forced to compete harder, to think faster, he's ready to take over. We call those kids character players. The kid who got by on size alone, he often isn't equipped with the right mental skills to succeed once his physical head start disappears. The relative age effect creates a burden. Mental performance training transforms that burden into an advantage. If you see your child in any of what we've discussed, I want to help you make the next step. I've written a complete guide for parents called Parenting Your Relative Age Effect Child: How to Win the Long Game. The tools, the mindset, the framework, everything a family needs to turn this challenge into an advantage and a beautiful experience. The link to this manual is in the description. So if this series helped you at all, please share it with a hockey parent who needs it, or share it with a hockey organization that needs to hear this. Because we are unintentionally negatively impacting 40% of all young hockey players born in that youngest age cohort, and these players deserve our attention. I'm Marlin Muellart. This is Perpetually 9, and I hope you've enjoyed my videos.